Hello and welcome to the Justice Factor. The SA Police Service's significantly over-reported successes in the fight against crime in the latest set of crime statistics. This is according to the Institute for Security Studies. Not just that though, but the police also played down the numbers when serious crime occurred. What should happen now? ISS researcher Gareth Newham and SA Police Services spokesman Lieutenant General Solomon Makhale join me later today for a look at the crime stats. After that discussion, we'll give you, as usual, our winner and loser of the week. But first, I'm joined by a well-known political journalist, talk show host, and now author of this book, SA Politics Unspun, Stephen Grootes, to discuss the week's top politics stories. Stephen, congratulations on your book. It looks fantastic. But I have to start with, you brought out this book just as we begin the election run. Cyril Ramaphosa goes to Limpopo and says, you know, the Boers are going to take it over. Surely someone in the ANC should be unspinning or spinning this one furiously right now.
Good evening, Justice. It's quite strange how there's been this sort of front page story, it's been picked up by other people, and there's this sort of stunned silence, almost no reaction whatsoever. At the same time yesterday in Shisego, Cyril Ramaphosa and the City Press had this story where the City Press said that Shisego has shunned Cyril, essentially, that he's been shown the cold shoulder, he's been told to leave, and yet the ANC has gone to the press ombudsman over that story. You would have thought it would be the other way around. Surely, for them, the idea of Cyril Ramaphosa saying the Boers will come back is much more of a concern. But I think it really plays into a narrative we're going to see more of, this claim that the DA would bring apartheid back. We're going to see a lot more of this.
Is this the silly season? Is this what we're going to see for the next 6 months or whenever we have the election?
I think we're actually in a phony war situation. So we're going to have this sort of, everyone knows we're kind of electioneering, but we haven't really started yet. Yeah. We also haven't had many political events for a while. If you look at an election cycle in South Africa, you go kind of from general election to general election, but you also have peaks and troughs of inside the parties. So we had Mangaung last year. The DA hasn't really had a leadership challenge to Helen Zille, so it hasn't had quite as much fun. And as a result of that, we're in that phase now where we're moving away from the politics inside the parties to the politics between the parties themselves. And so we'll have a few skirmishes, the messages will become clearer, and then some events will happen. Someone will find 100 unenclosed toilets in Viljoenskroon or something.
That should be fun. Now, tell me, I want to focus on Cyril Ramaphosa himself. I mean, this is not the kind of statement you expect from a statesman of that nature, someone who is well known for having been very much a part of Nelson Mandela's Rainbow Nation and so forth and so forth. What's going on here? Is he personally moving towards a populist stance?
I think it's very surprising, and I think that's also why there's been sort of quite a subdued reaction. It might take a little while. We might find in a day or two suddenly we're talking about nothing else. I think that Cyril Ramaphosa does, I mean, you're absolutely right, he doesn't have the image of someone who would say something like this. One of the things that struck me as very curious about his position as the ANC's number 2 is that you have this situation where every time he campaigns, he's going to be asked if he's running for president. Because Cyril Ramaphosa's handicap in ANC politics at the moment is that he looks and he sounds presidential.
Is he going to run for? I mean, KwaZulu-Natal keeps on saying, oh, maybe we're thinking of someone else, maybe Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. Is he going to be the next president of the ANC? Is that the way it works?
I think if you put your money on anyone other than Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma and Cyril Ramaphosa, I think you would lose it at this stage. Still early days, though.
It is early days.
And I think also, where he might have an advantage is that people might start to turn around and within the ANC and say, KwaZulu-Natal, you've had your turn. You wanted it, you've had it. Also, their numbers might start to decline. It's difficult to know what will happen with branches. What Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma has, of course, in her back pocket is the fact that she's a woman. And you could imagine her campaigners saying, it's time to elect a female president of the ANC, and no matter what the Mpumalanga ANC Women's League thinks, it's time to also elect a female president of the Republic of South Africa. It's a strong argument, and so the politics of that is going to be very interesting. And this comment could come back to hurt Cyril at some point.
Yeah, that plus all the Americana stuff. Now, the DA has been in quite a bit of flummox, if you will, because first they went to Parliament, voted for the Employment Equity Amendment Bill, and then suddenly there's a big fight. So Helen Zille saying, no, we made a mistake, this is a disaster, we're turning back. What's going on with this?
Yeah, I mean, this is, it's the problem where the DA has a certain identity as public perception, as a sort of whitish party, let me call it that, and it wants to change that identity, and this is one of the problems of trying to change your identity in politics. You have people who are with you, your base, and at some point you sometimes have to ditch your base if you want to grow. And then the question is, will your base stay with you or not? How far can you push them? Tony Blair had the same problem when he tried to change the Labour Party. He knew that some people would start to leave. The question really is, how far can the DA push its sort of white core, if you like, and make sure they still follow? And I think they can push them far.
If they don't push that core, then they're going to stay at 16.6% or thereabouts. They're not growing their base at all.
Absolutely. I think also for white people, and maybe this is just my experience of it, but affirmative action isn't the issue that it was a few years ago. It was big story, headline news every time someone said anything about it. I think it's become a fact of life in South Africa, and people have accepted
Tony
it.
Leon and a few others of the former leadership of the DA are the ones who came out, and Tony Leon was on the front page of Bielt newspaper saying the DA is becoming like the ANC. Is he right?
No, I think on the one level maybe he's sort of talking about the DA of a few years ago. The DA's changed since then, and I don't mean that to sound as harsh to Tony Leon as it might sound. I think that the ANC likes to talk about a flaw sometimes, and this is what Gwede Mantashe tells us. If it ceased to exist tomorrow, how will it have changed society? The fact that society, I think, has come to accept affirmative action by and large means that maybe the ANC has had an impact and changed that flaw.
One last question for you. Tell me, and spin the public protectors issues for me, how long will it take before we see this report?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little while. If you saw her response today, I mean, she really punched back, I thought, at the security cluster. The security cluster of ministers, the problem they have is that, by and large, this is the same group of people, Nathi Mthethwa, Sibonga Cwele, Jeff Radebe, who also told us there would be strong action over the Waterkloof scandal, and that didn't really happen, and I think that's their credibility issue. It'll take a while, but we'll get it in the end.
Stephen Grootes, author of Essay Politics Unspun. It's available in all good bookshops, I'm told. Well done, and thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
After the break, we asked the SAPS and the ISS why we should believe in the national crime figures.
News that moves. eNCA.com.